Makes you wonder whose kid actually ends up going into the lemonade business. You've seen them before. Maybe you had one yourself when you were little, or maybe your child had one. But did you know there's actually really professional lemonade stands? There's people that do that full time and make their living off of selling lemonade. So it stands to reason that one of these kids that started the stand when they were little ended up going into the lemonade business.
He's just going to play something.
Now how does that happen?
No, there was nothing.
So he tried it one summer. Somebody maybe went to the local baseball game and saw a lemonade stand and thought, maybe I can make a little extra money if I do that. So he tries it out. He gets his dad to build him a rickety little stand. He hand paints a sign that says, lemonade, 50 cents. And after one successful day, he tries it again, and again, and again. Then he gets invited to bring his lemonade stand to the baseball game. So he raises his prices to $2 a glass. And since his lemonade's good, he gets invited other places, over and over again. Now he's getting busy, really busy, and he has to make a decision. Is he going to do lemonade full-time, hire people, work on spreadsheets, get it set up? Or is he just like it as a hobby? And he makes that choice to make it a career or not, to make a commitment or not. Now you might be thinking at this moment, maybe I should go into the lemonade business. $2 a glass. Could do pretty well. Or I wish my kid would go into the lemonade business. Heck, some people don't even know how to operate a spreadsheet, let alone run a business. These moments of decision aren't unique to just business. They occur more frequently in relationships. So watch this clip with me.
DTR. Some of you will recognize what those letters stand for. If you're not sure, let me help you out. If you are a young man in a relationship with a young woman, then chances are these letters are enough to strike fear into your heart. You may run away from, postpone, you may dread the DTR talk. Some young men will even terminate a relationship if they feel like the DTR talk is imminent. It is that official talk that takes place in every romantic relationship. Do you know what it stands for, DTR? Define the relationship. You sit down and you decide where things are going. Have things moved from casual to committed? I remember this date I went on in high school. On the very first date, the girl tried to have the DTR talk with me. First date, DTR. I got out of there PDQ and just ran away.
Over the next several weeks, I want all of us to examine our relationship with Jesus. Now, I get the fact that for some of you, this is kind of like a first date. Maybe you're not ready for that talk yet. But I think most of us in this room need to have a DTR talk with Jesus. We need to define the relationship, find out where we stand with Christ. And to look at Christ's invitation, we'll be using a verse that clearly lays out what it means to be a follower of Christ. It's Luke 9:23. And it reads, if anyone would come after me, he must deny himself, take up his cross daily, and follow me. I think many of you would welcome a DTR talk because you are ready to move to a different level of commitment. You're ready to move past the casual, past the convenient, into something more devoted, something more committed. So you're ready for this talk. Some of you are not, because you kind of like the setup you have with Jesus. I mean, he's a nice guy. In church, gives you something to do on the weekends. And it's nice to be able to come and sip some coffee and have some talk with some people. But the idea of taking it to a different level can be scary. You get a little anxious, maybe even go into the fight or flight response. But what we want to do is define the relationship. Where do we stand with Jesus Christ? And here's how I'd like to ask that question. Are you a fan or follower of Jesus? Now some of you are wondering why I'd ask a question like that. We're all followers of Jesus, right? That's why we're here. Now don't jump to your answer too quickly. Hear me out. The word fan is defined as an enthusiastic admirer. We're all fans of different things, right? Many of us are sports fans. We wear our jerseys. We cheer on the team. Some of us have memorabilia and whole rooms dedicated to teams. We are big fans. We understand the concept of being a fan, at least of sports. And my concern is that in our church, we have the potential of becoming a stadium full of fans. And Jesus never cared about having fans. If you define a fan as an enthusiastic admirer, then fans were just not important to Christ. See, I think we have a tendency to come together once a week and be fans of Jesus. We sit down in our seats. We open up our programs. We applaud at the appropriate times. And we leave somehow thinking that it was all for us. And as we depart, we give the sermon a thumbs up or thumbs down. We evaluate how it went, and we feel pretty good about ourselves. And I get that some of us are really big fans. I mean, we're really into this. We know all the songs. We know where to look things up in the Bible without having to get a page number. And we can do it quickly, even to the point that we look to see who we can beat. We practice our sword drills. And it feels good to be a fan. We can feel pretty good about ourselves because we're these great admirers of Christ. But he never cared about having fans. So if we'll be honest with ourselves, if we'll really search our hearts and begin to define our relationship with Jesus, there are 3 questions for you to answer. The first is this: why are you here? If you read the Gospels, Jesus at different points in his ministry would draw a line in the sand. He would separate the fans from the followers. One such instance is in John chapter 6. Jesus is in the height of his ministry. And we read that large crowds were following Jesus, and he was very popular. He was working miracles. He was providing food from 5 loaves of bread and a few fish. But Jesus in verse 2 realizes why they were coming. In verse 2 it just says they were coming because of the miracles. The main reason crowds were showing up was because of the spectacle. They didn't care as much about the teaching, about the life-changing lessons. They were there for the show. So why are you here? What is your because? Is it because you like free food? In Methodist, we throw a great potluck. Is it because you think the seats are comfortable? Is it because your kids can make more friends easier here than at school? Is it because you like chit-chat, or coffee, or donuts? In that passage, Jesus challenges the fans to a deeper, more intimate relationship with him. And in verse 66, here is what we read. From this time, many of his disciples turned back and no longer followed him. They went home. Because Jesus said, let's define the relationship. And what he offered, they weren't interested in. And it may be time for some people just to go home. Because you've come for a while. And you understand things, and yet you're coming in more for the miracles, for the spectacle, for the show. More for what Jesus can do for you. And he wants there to be a point where you define the relationship. Why are you here? Because for Jesus, his because is he wants to have a deep relationship with you. Now the second question we ask ourselves is, are you all in? Being a follower of Jesus requires complete commitment. A follower of Jesus will do whatever it takes to follow Christ. They're absolutely loyal, completely committed. On the whole, we don't do that so well. Absolute commitment is something we don't like. I think we prefer selective commitment. Simply put, we customize Christianity. Oftentimes we look at our relationship with Jesus and say, I'm going to follow Jesus, but I'm going to kind of pick and choose the areas I will follow. So you say, well, I'll follow Jesus, but don't ask me to forgive that person. I'll hold on to my bitterness, my anger. I deserve that. Sometimes you say, I'll follow Jesus, but don't talk to me about money. I worked hard for that. That's mine. And other times you say, I'll follow Jesus, but don't ask me to give up sex or alcohol or drugs. Those are my things. That's what I do. So in areas we agree that we're comfortable. So we'll follow Jesus as long as we're comfortable. I'm a Christian, but not all in. Well, then I say you're not a follower. You're just a fan. There is not an option of selective commitment. It is not a possibility. There is no bargaining, no bartering, no finagling. When you decide to become a follower of Christ, you've got to go all in. And fans, they don't like the idea of going all in. They're not wild about having to make sacrifices or about having to deny themselves of something they desire or crave. But if you've answered why you're here, then it'll be pretty easy to figure out if you're all in. If you weren't here for the right reasons, chances are you won't be willing to go all in. So in defining our relationship with Christ, we've asked, why are you here? And are you all in? Now the third question we must ask ourselves is, have you made it your own? Many of us, like myself, started going to church because you went with a parent. Others may have come to church because a spouse asked them to, or a boyfriend or girlfriend. You come because they like it when you come. You come because it appeases them. For those of us who grew up in the church, or who attended church in order to appease somebody else, it is easy to become a fan. It's like riding in the car with somebody who listens to a certain type of music. You're impartial to it. They drive you to school or work every day, and every morning say it's Aerosmith you listen to. But eventually a few songs grow on you a little bit. You can't help but hum along to I Don't Want to Miss a Thing. So you might say you become a fan of Aerosmith. That can happen to us in church. We keep coming to appease someone else, or because we think it's the right thing to do. And pretty soon we get into the flow of things. We know most of the songs. We even recognize the stories and teachings. And we're kind of fans of Jesus. We wear our WWJD bracelets, our cross shirts with little quibs. We do it pretty well. But that can be the most dangerous situation to be in. If your faith isn't your own, if you aren't pursuing a relationship with Christ, and you keep coming week after week after week, you begin to create a faith that was someone else's. You're just numbing yourself to what the real thing can be like. You'll become numb to real faith, comfortable with a few songs, a few favorite verses, none of which requires any sacrifice or personal change. You have to make your faith your own. Jesus isn't looking for a relationship between you, your mom, and him. He's not looking for a relationship between your wife, and him. He is looking for a relationship with you. That may be one of the reasons Jesus said these words in Luke 14, verse 26. If anyone comes to me and does not hate his father and mother, his wife and children, his brothers and sisters, yes, even his own life, he could not be my disciple. This is not about your mom and dad. This is about you and Jesus. So begin to search your heart these next few weeks. And we'll ask together, are you a follower of Jesus, or are you just a fan? I'd like you to take a few moments just to let that sit in silence. Lord, I know the question of being a fan or a follower can be a tough one. I ask that you move in all of our hearts, Lord. Fill us with your Holy Spirit and give us the desire to follow you as completely committed followers of Christ. Let there be grace on the things that you would have us give up. And draw us ever more closer to you. In your Son's name, we pray. Amen. We'll ask the prayer team, or the praise team to come up and let them talk with tithes and offerings. But I just ask that as we do that, when we come back to worship the Lord together, that you keep that thought in your heart, and your family or follower. What is Christ asking you to do to be a follower?